When I was a child, my father, he would love going to our local mall. And see, my brothers and I, we would love tagging along right beside him. Now, the reason that we enjoyed tagging along with my dad, going to our local mall, is because there was always a possibility that we could leave the mall with a new toy, a new video game, new clothes, or we could stop by at our favorite spot in the food court. We enjoyed spending our Saturdays with our dad. It was one of the things that I most looked forward to. Now, when it came to my father, one of the problems that I had with him and the way that he would shop is he was a big window shopper. He would love going to Macy's first. It was like a cycle. He would go to Macy's first, then hit JCPenney, then hit all these other stores, and then on the way home, he would stop at Burlington Coat Factory. Every single time, on repeat, at the same time, same hour, same second. That was probably the only time he never missed a step, was with his shopping routine. But every time he would go to Macy's, he would spend at least an hour walking around the perfume and cologne section, just sniffing, trying on different colognes, then spraying me with different sample colognes, and then not purchasing it. So at that time, I had the attention span of a 7-year-old, and I'd constantly get drawn away by little things in the store, little knickknacks, the different types of sections, the different types of clothes. I would just always find myself wandering away from my brothers and my dad. Until one day we decided we're gonna tag along with my dad. He's gonna go to the mall, we're gonna go through the same cycle, and hopefully we leave with a new video game. Something. My dad, he goes to the cologne section, he's looking at the cologne. Then he goes over to the suits and he's looking at the suits. So I decided that I was gonna wander off, and I found this nice little rack, this spinner filled with sunglasses. And I tried each and every one of them on. But I kid you not, the moment I put on the first sunglass, I was looking in the mirror, I was trying it on, seeing how cool I looked. I take them off, and as soon as I look, my dad is gone. He vanished, disappeared. One moment he's here, I'm looking at the sunglasses, I try them on, next moment he's gone. And my brothers, they were nowhere in sight. Now I'm freaking out. I'm looking all over the place for my dad. I'm trying to figure out where he went. I'm going all over the store, going to every single department that he usually goes to. There's no sign of him. I tried leaving the store, and I was stopped by security instantly, because the moment I tried to leave, I realized that I still had the sunglasses in my hand. I'm thinking, this man, he's gonna help me find my dad. The first thing he asked me is, do I wanna go to jail? I said, what? No, I don't wanna go to jail. Then return those sunglasses. At that point, I was done looking for my dad. I started breaking down crying, and I had to admit to myself I was lost. The moment I admitted that I was lost, the security guard took me to the main desk, and they went on the intercom and they started calling for my dad. 5 minutes later, he showed up. Come to find out, my dad was just on the second floor of the store, looking in the bed and fitted sheets department. The entire time we were in the same store, but different department. And that right there is a whole message within itself. But that's not what I'm talking about today. The message that I have for today is sometimes it takes you getting lost to know exactly where you are with God. There are many of us who have bought into the lie of feel-good Christianity. We have convinced ourselves to believe that the moment we give our lives over to God, that frees us from pain, that frees us from hurt, it frees us from suffering. The moment we give our lives over to God, we're not supposed to get lost. We're not supposed to lose our way. We're not supposed to fall back into the same cycle of sin. We are supposed to be comfortable. There are some of you who convinced yourselves that your walk with God is supposed to be a comfortable one. But that is far from the truth. Nowhere in the Bible did it say that this journey with God, that your walk with God is supposed to be comfortable. Nowhere in the Bible does it say God is at your beck and call. God is supposed to make you feel as comfortable as possible. God is supposed to make this journey the most comfortable one you'll ever be on. Nowhere in the Bible does it say that. But do you know what it does say in the Bible? In Matthew chapter 7, verse 13 through 14, it says, enter through the narrow gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many enter through it. But small is the gate and narrow the road that leads to life, and only a few find it. Ladies and gentlemen, what you must understand about that scripture is that it's saying that your walk with God is a narrow gate. It's a narrow journey. It's a narrow path that you have to walk on. Narrow is far from comfortable. In fact, narrow is uncomfortable. It's tight. There's not a lot of room. There's not a lot of space for you to go. Walking with God was never meant to be comfortable, because in order for you to find comfort in God, it requires you to get uncomfortable with yourself. It requires you to do some self-reflection. It requires you to let go of sin that you've been holding on to for years. It requires you to change patterns of yourself that you thought could never change. It requires you to grow as a person. It requires you to lower yourself, to humble yourself. It requires you to change lifestyle habits, friend groups, relationships, how you spend your off days, what you do in your private life. Following after God requires sacrifice. See, scripture doesn't just say that the gate is narrow, but what follows after is only a few find it. Do you know why only a few find it? It's not because the narrow path or the narrow gate is hard to find, but it's because the narrow path is hard to follow. It's hard to sacrifice the things that you've been holding on to so long for the Lord. It's not easy. It might be easier for some than it is for others, but it's not easy. It's hard to suffer loss and still give a shout of praise to God. You ever fail an exam and have to thank God anyways? You ever lost your job and had to rejoice and praise? Have you ever lost a loved one and still serve the Lord? It's not easy, but sometimes you have to suffer those things. Sometimes it takes getting lost in order to truly be found by God. If you never experience the pain and confusion that comes with being lost, then you'll never know the glory and triumph that comes with being found. When I got lost at that mall, I thought my dad had abandoned me. I thought he was on his way home with my brothers. I thought he didn't care. I thought nobody was coming to save me. I thought that was it. It was over. I was hurt. I was confused. I was bawling my eyes out. All I could do was keep moving. I didn't want to stop because I didn't want to give a stranger or a predator the opportunity to kidnap me. I didn't want to seem lost, even though I had no idea where I was going and no idea where to look. I pretended for as long as I could until I couldn't pretend anymore. With tears in my eyes, I told him, look, I'm lost. I don't know where my dad is. I haven't been able to find him in 30 minutes, or what seemed like 30 minutes. I don't know. It felt like an eternity, to be honest. And the moment I surrendered myself over to a reliable source, I was able to be found. As soon as I saw my dad walking towards me, all the pain and confusion, all the hurt that I felt, it went away. That moment made me appreciate my father a whole lot more. I stayed close to my father. I walked closely behind my father. Everywhere that my father went, I went. Everywhere he turned, I turned. I was not letting my father out of my sight, and he wasn't letting me out of his. Sometimes it takes being lost to know exactly where you are. For anyone who has been feeling a little lost today, anyone who's been feeling like they've been lost for quite some time now, I'll leave you with this message, this scripture. Luke chapter 19, verses 10. For the Son of Man came to seek and to save the lost. You may feel lost today, but I tell you that God is still pursuing after you. The only one who doesn't know where they are is you. God knows exactly where you are, and he's still pursuing after you. God isn't waiting for you to turn around and start heading in the right direction. God is waiting for you to be still. For as it says in Psalms 46, verse 10, he says, be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. It's the moment we stop moving and we remain still, call out on that saving name, Jesus, here I am. I am the lost which you came to save. Save me, God, because I can't do this on my own. Be still and know that he is God. In order to be found, we must first be lost. You can be found today, but you must first be still. Be still.